Why is it almost always 3 a.m.? Not midnight, not 5 in the morning. For millions of people, it's somewhere around 3 o'clock. You suddenly open your eyes. The room is completely quiet. You check the clock. 3:07, 3:18, 3:26. Then something even stranger happens. You're awake enough to think, but somehow not sleepy enough to fall back asleep. Most people blame stress. Others blame hormones. Some even believe their body is trying to send them a mysterious message. But your brain is doing something far more fascinating. Around the second half of the night, your brain quietly changes the way it sleeps. It becomes lighter, more sensitive, and much easier to wake. The real mystery isn't why you briefly wake up. The mystery is why your brain suddenly refuses to go back to sleep. To understand that, imagine your brain as the security system protecting a building overnight. During the deepest hours of sleep, that security system operates in energy-saving mode. It ignores small sounds. It filters harmless movements. It allows maintenance crews to work without interruption. But as morning slowly approaches, everything begins to change. The security system gradually increases its sensitivity, not because something is wrong, because your brain is preparing for the possibility that morning is coming. This is the night security shift. Phase 1. Your brain starts turning up the sensitivity. Most people think sleep stays the same all night. It doesn't. Your brain cycles through different stages over and over again. Early in the night, deep sleep dominates. Later in the night, deep sleep becomes less common while REM sleep and lighter stages become more frequent. That means your sleeping brain becomes much easier to wake. A tiny sound, a slight change in room temperature, your partner rolling over, even your own heartbeat, signals that would have been completely ignored at midnight can suddenly become strong enough to reach your awareness. For a few seconds, this is perfectly normal. Most people briefly wake several times every night without remembering it the next morning. Usually, the brain checks the environment, finds nothing dangerous, and quietly returns to sleep. Phase 2. The security guard notices movement. Now imagine the overnight security guard walking through the building. For hours, everything has been quiet. Then suddenly, a small noise. The guard doesn't panic. He simply looks around. That's exactly what your brain does. A brief awakening is often nothing more than your brain checking whether the environment is still safe. The problem begins when the guard doesn't go back to his chair. Suppose you open your eyes, look at the clock, and immediately think, I have to wake up in 3 hours. Within seconds, your brain has shifted from passive monitoring into active problem solving. The security guard is no longer checking the hallway. He's now searching the entire building. Phase 3. Thinking keeps the lights on. Here's something many people don't realize. Sleep isn't something you actively do. It's something your brain allows. The moment you begin calculating time, planning tomorrow's meeting, remembering an unfinished conversation, or worrying about not sleeping, you activate brain networks designed for attention and decision-making. These are the very systems that are supposed to stay quiet during sleep. Imagine trying to turn off every light in a building while employees keep walking back into different rooms and switching them on again. That's what overthinking does. The more you try to force sleep, the more your thinking brain remains online. Phase 4. Morning begins before sunrise. Many people assume morning starts when the alarm rings. Biologically, it starts much earlier. Long before you open your eyes for the final time, your internal clock slowly begins preparing your body for wakefulness. Your hormones begin shifting, your body temperature gradually rises, your brain becomes slightly more alert. This doesn't mean your brain wants you fully awake at 3 in the morning. It simply means the overnight security system is no longer operating at its deepest setting. Think of a theater before opening time. The audience hasn't arrived. But the lights backstage are already turning on. Staff members begin moving. Equipment is checked. Preparation begins quietly. Your brain does something remarkably similar every morning. Phase 5. Why stress changes everything. Now imagine that same security guard after several nights of false alarms. Eventually, he stops relaxing. Every small sound feels important. Every shadow deserves attention. Stress trains the brain to expect problems. When that happens, A perfectly normal brief awakening becomes an opportunity for worry. The brain asks, "Why am I awake?" Then, "What if I can't sleep?" Then, "How tired will I be tomorrow?" Every question increases alertness, and every increase in alertness makes sleep even less likely. The security system has become too sensitive. Phase 6. The habits that accidentally wake your brain. Most people unknowingly help the security guard stay awake. Looking at your phone floods your visual system with new information. Checking the time encourages mental calculations. Bright light tells the brain morning may be approaching. Trying to force yourself to sleep creates frustration instead of relaxation. Even repeatedly checking whether you're falling asleep keeps your attention focused on staying awake. Ironically, the harder you chase sleep, the farther it moves away. Phase 7. Helping the security guard relax. So what actually helps? Not convincing yourself to sleep, not fighting your thoughts, not demanding immediate unconsciousness. Instead, help the security system realize there is no emergency. If you briefly wake up, avoid immediately checking the clock. Keep the environment dark and quiet. Allow your breathing to settle naturally instead of trying to control every breath. If your mind produces thoughts, let them pass like cars driving past a window rather than invitations to begin solving problems. The goal isn't to force sleep. The goal is to remove the reasons your brain believes it should stay awake. Phase 8. The misunderstanding about 3 a.m. People often ask, "Why is it always 3 o'clock?" The answer is, it usually isn't exactly 3. It's simply somewhere during the second half of the night when sleep naturally becomes lighter and your brain becomes more responsive to its surroundings. 3 o'clock feels special because that's the awakening you remember. The dozens of tiny awakenings you slept through are forgotten by morning. Your memory records the unusual ones, not the ordinary ones. Phase 9. The real lesson. The next time you wake in the middle of the night, remember the security guard. Your brain isn't broken. It isn't trying to punish you. It isn't sending mysterious messages. It's doing exactly what evolution designed it to do. Checking, listening, preparing for another day. The problem isn't waking up. The problem begins when the security system mistakes a quiet hallway for an emergency. Sometimes the safest thing your brain can do is realize that nothing is happening, turn the lights back off, and let the night continue.